No way she's healing, bro. Oh, they relaxed.
What the fuck was that? What is going on, guys? My name is 4G. So today I wanted to make a video talking about the movement in Fortnite Chapter 5. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because it has been about 10 months since they've actually added this to the game, since they've changed all of the different animations for movement in the game, and they actually changed the speed a bit as well for a while there, but they did kind of boost it back up so that it's on par with the old movement. Regardless though, overall, my opinions on this, let's just get this out of the way. I think this was just a terrible change, and yes, even 10 months later, I don't think it was a good direction for the game to go in, and I think it really did contribute to Chapter 5 being worse than it otherwise would have been, just because of this one change that really did not need to be made. This was a change that was made for the sake of change, and I don't really like changes like that when it comes to games, especially in Fortnite, because it feels like they do that a lot when it comes to Fortnite chapters. I mean, I don't blame them, to be completely honest. They have to keep changing up the game so much. Every single chapter, every single year, they gotta think of some new, brand new way to innovate on the game, which in my opinion, they really don't. For me personally, I know other people probably would need that, I don't know, but I think that just adding a new map, adding some new weapons here and there, just keeping the loot pool fresh, things like that, I feel like that's enough for me personally. I think the game would still be a very fun mode. Bring in some brand new LTMs, things like that, because they don't really do LTMs as much anymore. But regardless, the reason I'm talking about this movement in particular is because this November we are going to be going back to Chapter 2. Now, last year we did not actually get the full OG movement. It was still the Chapter 4 movement with mantling, sliding, hurdling. Yeah, that's another one. I totally forgot about hurdling, to be completely honest. Barely works half the time, but regardless, it has all those movement abilities, and I do think that that was peak Fortnite movement in my personal opinion. I mean, mantling, a little annoying because it can be used in building sometimes in a way that is just, I don't know, I kind of like the older style of it. People can't just climb up your walls pretty much and just jump up, but regardless, it is still peak movement overall. I would still take that, because the mantling in other aspects of the game, when you're just mantling up a building or whatever, trying to get into a window, that if we're not talking about player placed builds, then I think the mantling is a fantastic feature and a lot better than having to put a ramp down. And I understand obviously zero build you can't do that at all, but it was a lot better than having to place a ramp down. And I remember when I went back to play Save the World, when they first added things like mantling, sliding, and the extra sprint. I don't know how I forgot about the extra sprint, which is now just the regular sprint now because of how it works, or at least that's how it looks with the new movement that we'll get into in a second. But I remember going back to Save the World before they added all that stuff to Save the World, and the movement felt very slow, very outdated. So I will say that was peak movement. So I do think that was good for Season OG. We got to experience the OG map, but with that particular movement. But that was also because they had a zero build option, so they kind of needed to have it like that regardless. Also, as I said, going to Save the World, it would have felt pretty terrible. That was the whole point of me saying to Save the World part, because it feels terrible going back to that kind of movement. But the Chapter 4 movement is not terrible at all. It was absolutely perfect, and I still don't know why they removed it or changed it in any way. Real quick, if you are enjoying this video, you should definitely hit that like button, as it greatly helps out the channel, and I would definitely appreciate it. All right, and in reality, it is just an animation change at this point. Now, originally it was slower. It was so bad that people were getting stuck in the storm when they first dropped it in Chapter 5. Luckily now, it is a little bit faster. It's almost on par. I don't exactly know the exact differences at this point, other than the actual look of it. The actual look of it is still terrible, though. The actual look of it just makes me feel like I'm a bot, all right? I feel like I'm trying to do 90s like I've always done before, and I just feel like I'm walking up my ramp. Like 10 months later, I'm used to it by now. I'm pretty used to it, but it's still terrible. And the reason I'm making this video is because, will they change this for Chapter 2 OG? Honestly, I'm gonna just be completely real right now. I don't think they will. I do not think they will. I think that it would be amazing, and it would be such a good look if Epic did happen to listen to everybody, because the vast majority of the player base did not like this movement when it first dropped. And I'm sure people just don't talk about it now because, yes, they did improve the speed of it, and people got used to it. So people over time are just gonna stop complaining about things like that. And also, I think they left it in because they wanted to leave it in for the duration of Chapter 5. I mean, they spent time working on it. You might as well. But maybe with Chapter 6 or going to the Chapter 2 season, it would be nice to then be able to experience actual Fortnite movement animations again. This seems like such a minor thing, but it's not. It's a major thing. It is so important to have good animations in your game. Also, the way that the animations look almost looks like it's supposed to be something like Black Ops 6 Omni movement. Like if you tried the Black Ops 6 beta, I don't know if you play Call of Duty or not, but either way, that allows you to move in any direction, and it honestly feels really good when you're playing it like that. So that's what the movement looks like it's trying to do. Obviously, this came out way before Black Ops 6 was announced. I'm not saying it's copying or anything. I'm just saying it almost looks like it's trying to do that, but with without the actual ability to move in any direction. So it just feels stiff. It looks weird. It doesn't work for Fortnite. I really do hope that they reconsider this. They don't even have to go back to literally the exact same old movement from Chapter 4. They really could just go in a different direction and rework the movement in a different way that isn't this. This does not work. All right, this is trying to just be the same movement as Chapter 4, but slightly slower, and on top of that, it feels like you're just walking the whole time. I know it's a psychological thing. It is all in your head. It really is. It doesn't matter if it's all in your head or not, though. It makes you feel like you're slower, and that hurts the game in my personal opinion. I really do not like that. I do not think the movement belongs in this game whatsoever. I really do hope that we go back to an actual version of this, especially for Chapter 2, because it just doesn't make sense. Back in Chapter 2, we did not experience movement like this. Now, I don't want to go back to Chapter 2 movement, to be fair, because like I said, that is the outdated movement that does not feel very good. It's not the looks, not the animations, it's the lack of sprinting, the lack of mantling, all that stuff. I mean, we couldn't do that either way, like I said, because zero build exists, and I don't think they would separate the modes to have only zero build having this movement and regular builds has the complete OG movement. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't feel good when you do it like that, separating it, especially for people who play different modes sometimes, like myself. I play zero build sometimes with friends, but most of the time I'm playing build. It just depends who I'm playing with pretty much. So going back and forth between the different modes, it feels terrible, kind of like going back before they added mantling and the extra sprint to save the world. So they couldn't do it like that. They'd have to give us the Chapter 4 movement, and I would be entirely fine with that. Either that, or honestly, if we could just sprint 24/7, because this feels like I'm walking normally. This is supposed to be like the OG running before they added the extra sprint. Just give us unlimited tack sprint or whatever. That's how I would say. So I can just keep running and running and running, and there's no problem. You could even reduce that sprint speed a tiny bit to balance that out, and I think that would be a far better option than what we've been dealing with, where I have to, when I run out of sprint, I'm just walking and I can't do anything about that. I'm just walking, standing there, and it just feels like you're just such an easy target. And I know technically now it is the same movement speed, but again, it doesn't feel like it, and that feeling is so important to having a game actually be fun and actually be enjoyable to the player. I don't know, that's just my opinion on it. I know some people don't really care anymore about the movement, and honestly, I wish I was that kind of person. I know I have friends that just, they don't even care. They're so used to it by now. It just doesn't matter to them, but to me, it still does, and I would absolutely love if they went back on this. I also saw a video, I don't think this has any credibility really, but there was a bug recently where the OG movement came back for a person who was just playing creative mode, and it was the actual original animation, which they even got rid of and saved the world. Like, come on, man, save the world. You can add the mantling and tack sprint and all that. That's good for the game, but changing up the animations, like, they did it later on too. It wasn't even like when Chapter 5 first dropped. The original weapons of Save the World still had the original animation, and it looks so much better. But anyways, back to this video real quick. Pretty much saying that this was a bug in the game, so maybe because this bug happened, they're adding it back soon. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, to be completely honest. I don't think that really has very much credibility, because I'm pretty sure these animations have always been in the files still. They've just been like that, but I could be wrong. Maybe they do add it for Chapter 2 OG. I really do hope so. Maybe even Chapter 6 at the very least. I know they're going to add different movement, like we're going to be able to go prone, which is kind of weird. I'm going to make a video talking about that, why I'm very concerned about that as someone who's played Call of Duty for many years. But anyways, yeah, that's going to wrap up this video. What do you guys think about the animations in Fortnite Chapter 5? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad and you'd prefer them going back to the Chapter 4 movement? Or maybe you even think that the original Chapter 1 movement is best and you would want them to go back to that? But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And if you guys enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new here and you like videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.